Number 13, we're going to write a systems of inequalities for the graphs given. And basically, you're going to describe this portion right here that's in the shade. You're going to describe the lines in relationship to that. Okay, the easiest one is this line right here, the vertical. If it's vertical, we know it's going to be x, and we're at 3. It's equal to it, but it's also, this colored portion is to the left, so it is less than 3. So there's the first graph. This dashed line is next. The dashed line, remember we always start with where we begin. We have a y at the beginning, and we begin at the y-intercept, which is 2, so it's going to be a positive 2 at the end. The slope is the next thing we look at. You're going to go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, so that's up 1 over 2. The third thing you look at is this line. Is it going uphill? And it is, which means this is a positive. The next thing we're looking at is the shade. This line right here, the shade is above it, which means it's greater than. The last thing you check to see if the line is dashed or solid, that's a dashed line, so it doesn't have a line underneath it. And so we finished with that one. Okay, I'm going to erase this part. Put the shade back. All right. The red line is the one we're going to do next. We're going to start with the y, and we always start where we begin, and we're beginning at the y-intercept, which is -1. The slope goes in front of that, so we're going to find the slope. So you're going to go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. So your slope is 2. This is going uphill, so it's positive. Now we're looking at the shade. Here's the line right here. The shade is below it, and so it is less than. And because this line is solid, you have a solid line under the inequality. And that's it. On number 14, we'll start with the blue one, and I'm going to start with this one. Remember, we always start with B, because that's where we begin, and this is where we're starting, and that's at 3. So your y-intercept is at positive 3, and then you go to x. What is the slope here? Here's a point, and here's a point. Okay. So you went up 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 1 over 4. And this slope is going uphill, so it's positive, but the shade is below that line. If it's below that line, it is less than. And I'm going to erase all the marks I put on there. The shade is less than. It's a dashed line, so it doesn't have anything under there. All right, the next one is the green one, and I'm going to do this one. You begin at the y-intercept every time. And this y-intercept is at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6. The slope goes from, it's going to go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. So it's 2 over 1 is 2. And then you check. This is going downhill. So because it's going downhill, it's a negative. And the shading is below that line, so it is less than. It's lower than the line, so it is less than. And the line is solid, so you have a solid line under there. So I'm going to erase these marks and go to red. This one's going to be the red one. Again, we began at 3. The slope, I'm going to start right here. You go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. So your slope is 2 over 1, which is 2. This is a downhill slope, so it is a negative. But the shading is above it, so this is going to be a greater than. and that is a dashed line, so there's nothing underneath it. If it were a solid line, you'd put a solid number under it. And that's it.